There are things you would not be grateful for that are right in front of your eyes all day long, which, however, you can appreciate.
The Mindspo podcast.
What do you see with your mind's eye?
Welcome back. Let's elevate. Roll your shoulders up and back. Unclench your jaw. Elongate your spine as you take a deep breath in. And now, exhale. Now take your mind to that person, place, or thing that you have gratitude for, and start to feel into the joy available to you at all times. Elevate into a higher vibration as we expand together and dive into this conversation. Welcome to the Mindspo podcast. You are tuning in for another episode in our Mindspo manifestation series brought to you by Manifesty app, the best manifestation app there is out there, if I don't say so myself. I am here with the other co-founder of Mindspo and Manifesty app, my partner in crime and in business. Hey, Crystal.
What up, what up?
Hey, baby. How are you?
I'm good.
You good?
Yeah.
You ready?
I am.
We're recording this on a Monday. These episodes go out on a Monday. So what better thing to talk about than how to feel a little bit more joy in your life, how to fill up your cup and switch from using gratitude to appreciation. This is your podcast idea today. And I loved it because this podcast is all about the nuances of manifestation as well as demystifying manifestation. And one of the best ways we can really easily and effortlessly increase our ability to manifest is just to feel a little bit more joy, get into a little bit of a higher vibration. Is that to say that you have to always be in a high vibration? No, this is not black and white thinking, but it does really help when we are feeling those higher vibes, when we are in those states of joy and love and appreciation and gratitude. So we hear a lot about gratitude in manifesting. And I feel like just in personal growth, hey, gratitude, oh my gosh, so many people have talked to me about gratitude. We all know about it. And it's one of these things that I always say, it really works. So go and take action on it. Go and be more grateful. I think it's one of these things that a lot of people know about, but they don't do. And we're big practices of gratitude. We have multiple gratitude practices that we do every single day.
I have it tattooed on my wrist.
Yep.
Gratitude.
We do out loud gratitudes. We do gratitude in our meditation. We do gratitude writing. But today we're talking about something else, which is appreciation.
Very closely related, but a little bit different. So like you said before, I think this podcast is about teasing out the little nuances. We don't want to just talk about manifestation from this like top zoomed out, think it and be it. And we actually want to go in there and go into these little subtle shifts that can have very large impacts sometimes. So where do I begin? I guess, you know, when you listen to Abraham Hicks, who I think is a wonderful source of very practical, matter-of-fact manifestation knowledge, she's always talking about joy. She says joy is the key. Joy is the secret. She's literally singing it half the time.
Joy is the key.
Yeah, right, exactly. Terrible voices right there. But it's all good.
It was so good that we're not like doing a choir right now.
Yes, I would not be in a choir, no. But it makes you think, okay, so if joy is the key, how can you feel more joy? And it gets me to think about when you are grateful for something, you can feel joy, of course. You're like, wow, there's so much to be grateful for. You and me, we're always playing the gratitude game. You are always initiating it. It's like 3 things you're grateful for and why. And I'm always trying to think about what can I be grateful for? The sunshine, my legs, my relationship, you know, Bali, yada, yada, yada. But quite often you end up repeating yourself, and it almost feels like it takes effort to find new things to be grateful for. What's interesting there, though, is that there are things you would not be grateful for that are right in front of your eyes all day long, which, however, you can appreciate. So, for instance, if you find a rock on the side of the road, right, you can pick up this rock. Are you going to be grateful for this rock? I mean, maybe some of you are. Maybe you're an absolute master at gratitude, and you figure out somehow how, like, I don't know, the silica composite in this thing affects you in some positive way. But for the rest of us, we would just be like, yeah, it's just a rock. But here's the thing. It's not just a rock, right? It's because the word rock is just a word, right? You're just slapping a label on it and using this label to stop you from feeling pretty much anything. But beyond the word, if you really just felt it, if you looked at it, if you realized that this thing had formed millions of years ago, it might have had a whole journey to get to where it is. It might be some special kind of rock. It might have little bits of crystal in it. It might be whatever. There's all kinds of magical stuff going on with this rock. You can start to change how you feel. You can start to notice that it's actually something really interesting. Now, an easier example would be a leaf. Right? Because it's something that has a lot more consciousness and life to it. You pick up a leaf and you start to notice that it's covered in what looks like veins. It literally looks like human veins. There's life pouring through this thing. Now, are you going to be grateful for this leaf? Look, if you understand biology, you might be like, wow, this thing's creating the oxygen I'm breathing. Great. But that's a bit of a stretch for most people. However, could you appreciate this leaf? Could you look at it and marvel at the magnificence and the intricate detail in this organic thing that you just found on the side of it? It's like a treasure. It's actually, and they're all unique. Holy crap, look at all those tiny little cells all over it. You can start to put yourself into a state of awe. And when you think about if having joy is part of the secret to manifesting more effectively, more efficiently, being more in alignment with the things that you want so that the universe is just gifting you things all day long, right? You just become magnetic. If joy is the secret, well, then it's interesting because most people as they get older, they feel less joy, right? We can probably agree that if you compare the average 10-year-old child to the average 80-year-old person, a large difference is that the 10-year-old's running around going, oh my God, life is amazing and everything's interesting and I'm playing movies inside of my head and I'm playing cowboys and Indians and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, most people at age 80 are probably a little bit tired of life. They've seen it all before. It's all just the same thing over and over and over. And so the difference there is actually a state of awe. The difference there is in seeing the world anew often and putting yourself into a state of curiosity and interest. And so I find that you can unlock that with appreciation far more easily than, say, gratitude. Gratitude doesn't really give you awe so much. It's more of a state of love. And we can, it's semantics, right? Like it's
I feel gratitude is more of a state of thankfulness.
Yeah.
So when you are grateful, basically you are being thankful for being given something. I did some Googling before this episode and that's what the internet says. So the internet was saying to me, I have my notes over there. I was really like, you mentioned this podcast episode and I love the concept of it. And even I was like, appreciation, gratitude. How do I separate these two things in my head? And gratitude is really when you're thankful for something that you were given. Like, I'm so grateful. So you've been given a present, there's something. Whereas appreciation is appreciating the value of something. So you don't have to be given something or gifted something or have something to be appreciating or appreciative of it, which I think is a really interesting nuance. And here's the thing I was thinking about when you were mentioning this podcast episode. I feel like a lot of people, we have parents, right? And when we go back in time and we think about what our parents have done, most people aren't really like super grateful for everything that their parents have done because that's what they were meant to do. They decided to have sex and then I was born and then they had to look after me. That's what you're meant to do. But you can have a deep level of appreciation for what they did. And I'm very grateful for things my parents did, obviously. But there's like a level of, I feel there is an expectation that they should have been doing these things. But then there's an appreciation that they did it, if that makes sense, that they showed up in the way that they did. And I think that it's really interesting just to realize like the value that they have brought to your life or the value that maybe other people have brought to your life. Because maybe you had a teacher that you're really appreciative of because of their viewpoint, because of the way that they made you think, or the way that they saw the world. Like I can think back to teachers of mine that I had really nice views on the world that I really appreciated. And I look back and I'm like, oh, I'm so appreciative that that person was in my life that helped me to kind of see things in that way.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Because I feel like appreciation versus gratitude. Appreciation is a more easily accessible emotion.
Yes.
You could wake up in the morning and the sunlight could be streaming through the window onto your bed. And now if you were lying there and you were like, I really want to get up on the right side of the bed. I want to be a ball of positive energy today. I want to impact the world positively. I want to enjoy things. That's my intention. Now in your semi-sleepy state, while your brain is kind of like all over the place, you're still half in the astral realm with whatever dream you just had a second ago. It might be a bit of a challenge for you to create a coherent thought between how the sunlight is currently giving you something and therefore I'm going to be grateful for it and the vitamin D synthesis in my body. But you could just also feel the warmth on your skin and you could just feel it. And in that feeling, it could unlock a more positive state. You could just be like, oh, grateful to be alive. Why? Because I'm just feeling the sunlight on my skin.
Yeah, I'm appreciating
I don't need to
it.
create a whole story around it. I don't need to figure out how it gave me something that I can now be thankful for and give it something back. I can just notice it. And that could be enough to give you a sensation that lifts your vibration.
Yeah, I feel like appreciation is a sensation.
Yeah.
It's a sensation of appreciation.
Yeah. It's not really teasing out a relationship necessarily. It doesn't need to have done anything for you to have that emotion. Because usually when you're asking yourself, what am I grateful for? It's, I feel grateful because this thing did that for me.
This is so interesting. With appreciation, what it says is that it is about appreciating the value of something. So in order to appreciate something, you are giving something value. So I see the value of the sunshine on my skin. I have value in being warm. So you are really kind of giving things that appreciation. It's something that you give. Gratitude is kind of something like you give gratitude, but you get grateful. Do you know what I mean? It's this reciprocal thing where appreciation is more just you are deciding to appreciate different things. What are the greatest challenges standing in your way while manifesting? Let me guess. You often forget about what you want, your mind jumps all over the place, and as abundant and high vibe as you want to be, you keep catching yourself falling back into lack, stress, and thinking small. I know this because I face those challenges too. But guess what? There's an app for that, and it's called Manifesty, and we actually spent 2 years developing it to help you overcome all of those challenges. With Manifesty, you can keep your vision board in your pocket so that inspiration is never far from your mind. You can also make a vision board feed just like Instagram, but way more productive, and you can even make a vision board movie, which is an upgraded vision board because you can use music to really help you get into an altered state and heightened emotion. Besides that, you can also practice meditation to build your attention span and self-awareness, keeping your mind more on positive thoughts, gratitude, and thinking in expanded ways that keep those manifestations flowing. There is so much in one app to help you with your manifestation journey. And if you love this podcast, then I know you will love this app. You can download it right now for free. And if you choose to subscribe, it's also one of the best ways that you can support us here at Mindspo to keep doing the work that we do. Find it now on both app stores by searching Manifesty. That's Manifest IE, and start your free trial today. Thanks for listening, and let's get back to the episode. You mentioned something before we did this podcast that I really loved, which was all about this nuance of appreciation when it comes to jealousy or when it comes to something that maybe you want. So I think we can all appreciate that there are things that we are wanting to attract into our lives, that we're wanting to manifest, that other people have. We are constantly seeing and being exposed to people that have the things that we want. That is through the law of attraction. You are always attracting the things that you are desiring. We live in a mirror universe. And I think something that sometimes happens when maybe we see someone that has something that we desire, in that moment, that can bring up a feeling of, oh, that person has that thing that I want. And we can feel a sense of jealousy or a sense of, oh, that's really what I'm desiring for myself. And it can feel a little bit icky. Now, in those moments, we really want to really transcend those negative feelings and instead have a more positive feeling towards it. This is something that we talk about a lot on the podcast, really doing the work to not condemn people that have the things that you want, instead celebrate them. Yeah. And one thing that you could do here is, could you be grateful if your friend got engaged? right, to her dream man. And she had only just found him 6 months ago. Meanwhile, you've been looking for the guy for 2 years. Your friends just got engaged. You don't feel amazing about it because it's, oh gosh, that's really happy for her, but damn, I've really wanted this thing. Would you feel grateful that your friend got engaged? Probably not. But could you appreciate that? Could you have a level of appreciation that that is possible, that that is out there? Could you appreciate their love? Could you appreciate the progress and the timeline that that happened with? Could you have a positive feeling through appreciation? Yes. And I think that is so interesting that appreciation allows us to have a positive emotion towards things that maybe we want for ourselves that we don't have right now, that where gratitude wouldn't really be appropriate.
And just to highlight as well, because so that it doesn't seem like you and me are just kind of wafting on about this topic, it's like, why is this even important? And it bears repeating that the mind rarely stays in a neutral place. It's not like, oh, if I don't put any effort into thinking positively, I'll just hover in nothingness. It's like the brain doesn't really work like that. We are seeking out lack and negativity and danger, and we're cave people who are rewarded biologically for paying attention to the negative. And so it's a kind of a full-time practice. If you want to manifest as well as possible and live your best possible life, it behooves you to wake up in the morning and go to bed at night paying attention to where your mind is and what are you noticing? What are you seeing in everything? Are you seeing what there isn't? It's that famous old saying, is the glass half full or glass half empty? Or can you just be appreciative for the glass? Could you just appreciate that you just have a glass regardless of whether it's full or empty? But yeah, I think a great example that makes sense to me, at least, that very easily illustrates this, is if I'm walking down the street and I see somebody driving my dream car, right? Some guy pulls up at the traffic light and he's got my absolute dream car, which is a Ferrari 355, by the way, right? So some guy pulls up with a 1997 Berlinetta and I'm looking at it and I'm like, damn, right? Now, a normal, natural human emotion would be jealousy, right? It's totally normal. Some people have it more than others, but it's a very normal, natural thing. It's like, oh, I want that. I wish I had that. Now, am I going to be grateful for this guy who's sitting in my dream car at the traffic light here? I mean, I could be grateful that the universe has shown me an example of my car and it's there. And I could try to tease that out. Sure. Like it'll take a little bit of effort and there's a lot of distortion up in there and I'm trying to force thank you, sir. But could I appreciate it? Oh yeah, that's easy. I could just look at that car and be like, wow, what a marvel of design. It's such an amazing vehicle. It's like my dream, design boner right there. So easy to get that positive emotion going, to feel a wow sense that could impact me for hours. But gratitude, that's going to be a bit tricky. So I think that's a good example, using a materialistic example of how those two emotions differ.
Yeah, I love that. We started this podcast by just saying, be more appreciative of things, find more things to be appreciative, a rock. But when you really go deeper on this, you can really use this to really transmute those negative emotions where you don't want to have a negative emotion. And I think that's such a powerful thing, because when it does come to manifesting, one of the most important things I think you can do is to really reprogram those feelings of negativity and jealousy. Because if you're having a negative emotion towards something that you want, what is the universe going to do? It's like, oh, well, this thing obviously makes you feel like shit and makes you feel worthless. When you see someone that has what you want, you start to feel horrible and negative and envious. What does the universe go? Oh, you obviously don't want this thing. Yeah. Well, no, if you could then flip that around and go, no, when I see people that have what I want or that are doing the things that I want or that are achieving the things that I want, it makes me appreciative that those things are out there, that is possible. It is such a powerful way just to make that little tweak, to do that little bit of work in that moment and to feel more positive about the things that you actually want to attract in your life, but for some reason you're having a negative emotion towards.
Yeah. And one more thing I would also say is there's a great saying I once heard, which is people who are interesting are people who are interested. And if you are somebody who can look at the seemingly mundane, just things that seem so normal, a leaf, a tree, a cloud, whatever. But if you can train yourself to see beyond those words and actually conjure up that feeling of appreciation, of really studying it for a moment, taking it in fully, like you will become a more interesting person. You'll become the most interesting person in the room. People will sense that, like, here's this individual that's able to conjure up positive emotions out of seemingly nothing. Where everybody else is being like, this is such a boring moment, you are able to actually just be enthralled and present and have awe. That is a very attractive quality. So not only is this going to help you manifest more just because you're more of a higher vibratory, in a more high vibratory state, you have to remember that your manifestations quite often come through people. They come through other people wanting things for you, people talking about you positively to other people. And so if you are somebody who becomes more interesting because you're more interested, because you appreciate the things that everybody else is just kind of not even seeing, then everything just starts to line up a bit more.
Yeah.
And you get to enjoy your life more at the same time.
I also just think in general, when you think about appreciation, the people that are appreciative of things, they get more in their life. They receive more because they're actually thankful for the things that are there. They're noticing the little things. When I was little, did I want my parents to be grateful that I did a full-blown dance concert for them to Britney Spears? No, my parents were never going to be grateful for my random little outbursts of concerts that I did for them. But could they appreciate them? Yes. And when someone appreciates something that you do, and even if they don't really love it and they're not grateful that you did it, but they can appreciate that that's you shining your light, doing your thing, it is such a powerful thing that person gives you appreciation and you take that. And I think it's such an interesting kind of nuance there where you don't have to be grateful for everything, but you can appreciate a lot of things.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? If you think of the universe as like a parent or something, and you're the universe's child, if you're not grateful for the gifts that you're given, just like a normal human relationship, if you give a gift to a child and you see the child be completely ungrateful for it, so there's an interesting difference here, right? It's like you give a child a gift and it's completely ungrateful for it, right? So then you are not going to want to give that child necessarily more of the same thing.
Because you don't feel appreciated.
Right, but here's what's interesting. It's not even about you being appreciated, what I'm realizing right now. Because it's like this. If the child was like, thank you so much for giving me that thing, expressing gratitude, you'd be like, oh, wonderful, of course. Here, let me give you another one. Imagine it was paints, right? You have a bunch of paints. You give a little painting kit to your child or your friend's child or something. It doesn't even matter if the child is actually thanking you directly for the paints. If all you saw was the child painting and loving it, you would already be so encouraged. Like, next time I come over, I'm gonna give her some more. I'm gonna give her some other acrylic paints or some pencils. Like, you already have that drive, and I want to perpetuate that. I want to create more of that. But regardless of whether the child knows even that it's coming from you, whether it expresses that it's from you, it's just we're such community creatures. Consciousness it's about bonding. It's about giving. But you get more from giving. It's this paradoxical thing where everybody's like going me and trying to get. But like, if you can just focus more on giving it away, then it creates this circuit. It creates this energy. But I'm just kind of realizing it's not even, you don't even need to be thanked directly for a gift when you think about it. So long as you witness or you notice that it's appreciated, that's already gratitude enough in and of itself. Anyway, just a random little train of thought I'm realizing there.
Look, I think this one is so useful. And if anything, after this conversation, I'm now going to action step for everyone because I'm going to do it. I'm going to write down a list of things that I appreciate about life, about existence, about my body, about you, about everything. Just like the things that I see as valuable that maybe I don't have gratitude for because I don't feel like they were given to me, but I can just appreciate that they're there and just noticing those little things, because at the end of the day, the little things are the big things. If you have Manifesty app, one thing I want to say to you is make a little alarm maybe for 8 p.m. at night and have it go off and have it say, What can you appreciate today? And just add a little bit more appreciation into your day. Have this as a little reminder to find the appreciation, to find the joy. I'm such a big believer in having triggers to remind us to do this work. We did a whole entire episode called The Silver Lining, which I'll link in the description notes if this was one that inspired you, where Soll and I play a game where we are always trying to find the silver lining. And we talk about this stuff a lot because this is what really helps us to get out of that negative bias that we are so in, and instead try and find a little bit more joy, a little bit more positivity. It helps my mindset so much because at the end of the day, you will attract what you are. You will bring forth and pull in the things that you are feeling. So the more appreciation you can feel, the more gratitude you can have, the more good you can see in the world, the more that will be reflected back to you. Anyway, we will see you in the next one. Sending you so much love, and go and take some action and find some things that you appreciate today. Thank you for joining me for this episode. You can discover more from Mindspo on Instagram and TikTok by following @Mindspo and myself @Rochelle_Fox. If this episode inspired you, then please pass it on and share the love. And if you're new to our world and you want to elevate your mind and step into your best self, then be sure to download our app, Manifesty, from the App Store and take advantage of the free trial. With Manifesty, you can create your own vision board movies, practice powerful meditations, and set affirmation reminders so your phone supports your journey towards that abundant vision of your future. And lastly, always remember, you create your own reality. So go and make some magic.